Hello and welcome everyone back to Motogp 22. Now today I will be reviewing Motogp 22. It has been out for 9 days at the time of recording this. I've logged almost 30 hours and I think now is the right time to review it. A lot of people have already reviewed it. A lot of people review it, in my opinion, too early. You really need 20 plus hours. Some people reviewing it today came out and I'm honestly, that review is pointless because they don't know what they're playing it because it's a brand new game. But anyway, I've decided to log enough hours to do all game modes to give the game enough time that if I had a bad first impression of something, I would not be basing my review off it. And my opinions have definitely changed in the 9 days I've played this. It's 100%, and I guarantee everyone who's made a review a couple of days later will probably have a slightly different opinion, so that's why I've waited. So by the title of this video, you can see I'm doing a good, bad and ugly section. Basically what it will be is I'll start with the good stuff, then I'll move into the not so good stuff, and then I'll move into the very not so good stuff. So we're going to start with the good stuff, what little there is. So we're going to just run through them pretty quickly. So for me, the best things about Motogp 22 are the physics, the graphics, the presentation, the track updates and the 2009 season. So we're going to start firstly with the physics. Possibly the most important thing to majority of the MotoGP community is how the bikes handle. At the end of the day, it is a bike game, it's a racing game. You need bikes that handle not only accurately but are also enjoyable. Now, when I first played it, I didn't really like the braking. It took me some time to get used to it. If I made the review day one, I would have slated it saying it's wrong, it's bad, it's this. I had to adapt. Most people had to adapt. And a lot of people aren't enjoying it within the first 5 hours of the game because they haven't got their head around the braking, and that's okay. A lot of people have badly rated this game because of the physics, and basically, in my opinion, a lot of people haven't given enough time. So for me, the biggest changes to the physics are rear grip, much improved. There's a new feature which we'll cover later, it's not in the good section, the rear height device. Basically the bike squats to the rear, less wheelies, supposedly better traction out of the corner, and a slightly different change to physics. We'll cover that later in the video. The tyres are a bit more flexible from what AI or from what Milestone have said. They flex more or redevelop suspension. Curbs are slightly better. So in all the physics aspects, the main things I've found that are better is the braking is nicer. I rather it compared to last year's braking. I felt last year's was very slidey. I feel this year you have a bit more friction, there's a bit more going on, as well as the improved rear grip is a big change. It really makes the bike feel like it's connected to the ground, not floaty. First, for the graphics, not a huge step forward. Some nice kind of pops and bangs from the exhaust. One of the biggest things is the sky. Now it's going to sound weird, and I did mention this in my first play, but when you're playing on a sunny day, we'll take Mugello for example, because I know exactly of where the clouds are. When you're coming into Arrabbiata 1, it goes a bit darker, it starts to have a bit of cloud cover. I know it's a very small thing, and you might go, right, but like you're not going to see that. Like, but it does change the way the game feels. It's better than just having a kind of a sandbox feeling. It feels like you're in an environment, and I like that. Formula 1 have done it a couple of years back, and they've kind of improved on it since. So it seems we have a better overall lighting system, and it does look better, and I really am pretty happy with the graphics. I have nothing bad to say. The 2009 season, arguably the best thing about Motogp 22. They've put so much time into this. Maybe the game has suffered in elsewhere because of the time they put into this. They got Mark Neal on board. They have like hours of in-game real-life footage from the 2009 season and before that. I won't say any spoilers in now, but I am playing through it on the channel, so after this video, if you would like to see some 2009 season, jump over the channel. At the point of recording, I should have at least 5 episodes up, I believe, if not 4 or 5 anyway, so a good hour, a couple of hours worth of content. But back to it, Mark Neal has directed the fastest hitting Apex MotoGP documentaries, and they are fabulous. They're such a good watch. Again, another thing I recommend watch if you've never seen them, try and find them. I believe Faster was on Netflix at one point. Just a presentation to it, the prologue, the writing and the gameplay is good as well. You're given little challenges in the race, they're all a bit different, it doesn't get repetitive. Like I said, I've played about 5 of them now so far, and I don't feel like, oh here we go, I just need to win by 6 seconds again. It does feel like that. Each one has a bit of a different challenge. And the fact that you include the real life footage and they tell you a story, it's a great mode. It really hands down is the best thing about this game, and I really hope that we have more of these in the future and it's not just a flash in the pan because Valentino's retired. That is of course the reason they've done it, because it was his the whole reason they call it the 2009 season is because it was his 9th title. But I hope in the future we might get something along these lines. Maybe not just one season. Maybe if we did like the 2000s era, so like it starts off with maybe we could say Kenny Roberts winning his first and only championship in 2000 in Brazil. Then we move forward to 2001 where Rossi wins it in Phillip Island with a great battle with Biaggi and so on and so forth. They don't have to limit themselves to 1 year. There's plenty of drama over the last 20-30 years they could incorporate. But moving on, again, like I said, I can't talk highly enough about the 2009 season, but we're going to move on now to the presentation. The menus have had a nice upgrade. When you launch the game, you will see a bike load up and it kind of has flickers, there's lights. I personally like it. Some people think it's annoying, can't skip it. I think it really shows off the models and they look quite good under the lights. The menus are nicer, the career mode menus are better. Overall, I just like the menus more and the UI, you could say. There's not much else to say about that. I just wanted to say that it is a good thing they've updated it. It's much nicer than last year. They've gone away from the tile system as much, where now it's more like a banner on the bottom where you scroll left to right. I much rather it. It looks better. It's more clean, slick look. So again, thumbs up for that. Not a huge thing, but you're playing these games for a whole year. It's nice when the menus are a bit better looking. Next and last thing in the good section is the tracks. Now, I was playing with a friend of mine and we all started to notice small different bits of camber and small bumps, and the track textures look different and off-track things looking different. For example, they have marshals in different places. They have people at the side of the track taking photos that are real people moving around. They're not just cardboard cutouts stuck up just to make it look like it's alive. There's different audio in the background. I hear a lot more kind of fans shouting and screaming and all sorts. Again, builds the atmosphere. Also, they have the LED boards for yellow flags, green flags, red flags. Nearly every track I've played so far, I've seen them. They are a feature that's been brought in about 2019, 2020, but with COVID. Again, with COVID, it's kind of held up the physical track side of the game, so they weren't able to get to tracks, but no, it does look like they've improved them. The tracks in this game, I can't say a bad thing about them. They all look very good. The textures and the track conditions are nice, and again, going back to the graphics and the kind of cloud coverage and stuff, does give a good feeling. So overall, the presentation, the graphics and the track updates really make the game look as best as they can in their current state. Now, that is the end of the good. We now move on swiftly to the bad. So we're going to start off, I'm going to again just run you through what I have written down in front of me. No 22 models at launch. What I mean by that is we don't have the 2022 season models at launch, so we don't have the new Honda, don't have the new Aprilia, etc, etc. Very disappointing for me. Like, imagine if you bought FIFA and you had the old teams, the old kits, just there would be outrage. Now, a lot of people are saying, why don't they release the game later? Why don't push it back 6 weeks, 8 weeks? Because they have said that the models will come in May. So people are saying, why not just wait till May, publish the game in May when it's finished. And in a Discord, I got a response from a dev saying basically it's not 100% up to us when we launch the game. So it's probably between Milestone, THQ, Dorna, probably a lot more in the background have to do with it. And again, as a consumer who just wants to play the game, there's a lot of politics in it, which is kind of annoying, but that's pretty much why it comes out when it does. It's not really a Milestone decision. They used to bring it out in the end of May, start of June, I believe. Usually kind of midsummer, around Mugello Catalunya was usually the race that they brought it out, if I remember correctly. But the fact they don't have the brand new bikes and the teams are wrong and stuff, it's quite annoying. The riders are in the right team in Motogp. Moto2, there's bikes with wrong branding on them. It's just a mess really, and for me on PC I can mod it so I can fix some of it, but for the console players it's a bit annoying. But we're going to move on now to new features not working properly, and broke old features are pretty much the only other things in the bad section. So the new feature not working properly is the ride height device. It makes you slower, so it does limit wheelie, it does give you kind of better traction, a feel, it's kind of placebo feel out of the corner that it gives you a better drive. I have done testing. I will link the video in the description. You can go check it out for yourself. Done 4 different tests on 4 different bikes, 4 different tracks, and every time the quicker one was what the ride height device off, I was 2 to 3 miles an hour faster. And yeah, so the way I was talking to a friend of mine and describing it was, it feels like a really high anti-wheelie setting. because it feels like it cuts so much power. It doesn't, for the fact that it has such good stability with the front end staying down, it feels like it just cuts too much power, and that's how it's doing it. So maybe they have gone the wrong way when integrating it into the physics and coded it, but for now it pretty much doesn't work. It's also slower off the line, just for reference. It doesn't, again, in real life it will make you quicker, and in the game it's slightly backwards at the moment, making you slower. Broken old features. So last year they brought in the bike retrieval from launch. Unfortunately, it was only for the player. Online it worked fine. You had small issues where even if you had damage off and you crashed and your bike landed pretty far away from you, by the time you ran there, because it was on its side for so long, you couldn't pick it up. But that was annoying for a lot of people because it was damage off. They wanted to remount. I was a victim of that in a league race. I got taken out by lag. My bike was pretty much sent down the pit straight. By the time I ran down, I was disqualified, or I had to retire. But they brought it into this year's game again. And last year, sorry, I forgot to mention, they were always saying they're going to bring it in for the AI. They were working on it. They gave us a patch where the AI's time when they crashed and between the respawn was massively increased to kind of represent the same time it would take a player to retrieve their bike. So it worked quite fine. It was grand. It worked well in that way. No, you didn't see the AI running to pick up the bikes. It was a bit annoying, but at least you could use it and weren't at a disadvantage. Whereas this year, for whatever reason, they've taken out that long delay when the AI crashed for them to be simulating getting on their bike and picking up their bike. They just spawn back after 4 seconds. So basically, if you have the bike retrieval on as a player and you crash in an offline game mode, you are shedding 20 seconds to the AI, and they don't lose that when they crash. So again, annoying. Don't know why they rebroke it. They had fixed it to somewhat that it was usable. Now I don't believe it's usable because you're at a massive disadvantage and you're doomed. So that is the bad. Now we move on to the ugly. So this is the biggest list, by far the ugliest, which is unfortunate. So I'm going to run you through quickly the list. Career mode unchanged, even though they market it as all new managerial career. More bugs in the game than does riders. Bare minimum done for me for full release. The AI are, I will cover them in a minute, I don't even know what to call them. And the online has not changed. So we're going to start with career mode. They marketed it as the all new managerial career mode. It is the exact same. Nothing has changed. The menus have changed, yes. Again, like I said, the UI looks nicer. It's exactly the same. There's nothing different about it. The in-game mechanics is exactly the same as the last 5, I think, 2019 on maybe. I don't know exactly when they changed it, but I don't understand their marketing, why they market it as new when it's not. Nothing has changed. It's blatant lies. But anyway, what can you do? That's just something they need to improve though, because it's a decent mode. It has potential, but it's lacking compared to Codemasters Formula 1. And it can be better. And when they were marketing, oh, all new managerial, we're all like, oh, maybe this year it's going to be better. It's exactly the same. So that is really annoyed me. The fact that they marketed it was the worst part. If they didn't have it in their marketing system that's all new managerial, I wouldn't be as annoyed. I still wouldn't be happy that they didn't really improve it and didn't change anything. I think the only thing they brought in is when you go to upgrade your bike, you can now automatically assign, like the game will assign you mechanics to do the job, so you don't have to do it individually. That's not new. Like, that's just a small feature, life improvement feature, whatever you want to call it. So again, not enough done in career mode. Nothing at all, in my opinion. Nothing that makes it any better. No change to it. So moving on, more bugs than riders. Off the top of my head, I can think about 12, maybe 15 bugs. Again, new game. Again, going back to if it could release later, some of these could be gone. Just for reference, when you're braking, the rear wheel comes off the ground, the audio stutters. When you're coming out of the pits, the AI don't change gear. In pits, your right hand man basically has no eyebrows. Wrong team names, wrong team colors, wrong mechanics for the wrong teams, geez, I could go on for days with this, but you get the picture. There's a lot of things wrong. A lot of them should be fixed when they bring in the 22 models and when they bring up the update for the teams, because there's a lot of them that are not working. But I will also mention a lot of them have carried over that weren't working in last year's game and still perceived to not work. For example, Repsol Honda t-shirts being worn by Tech Tree mechanics, so things that haven't been changed in a while, and I don't believe will be changed anytime soon. So bugs everywhere. Some people can't even change their resolution of the game, simple things like that. So we are waiting on a patch, so hopefully a lot of this will be fixed by the time a week or two down the line from the video posted. But at the time of recording, there's still a lot of bugs, so many bugs. Now we're going to jump onto the AI. Now, Milestone's MotoGP games has a system called ANA. It basically means it's a self-learning AI, which means it'll race around the track, and as it learns more, it'll change its lines, it'll brake later, it's adaptive. It'll also learn from the way you ride. Now, the way I see it so far from my career mode, which you can watch on the channel, we're on about episode 6 as of the time of recording this. Again, hours of footage there if you're interested to see what I'm talking about. But the AI seemed to brake too early on 120% AI, which is a max difficulty. When you pass them on the brakes, the following lap, if they're close on that corner, they will outbrake you more than they can brake themselves, and basically you are a berm. So it's like they learn where you broke, but they can't do that, so they just brake there anyway and just use you as a battering ram to push you out of the way. It's kind of annoying. I don't mind the occasional dive bomb, but the fact every corner they do it and 3 riders at a time will do it, it's not realistic. It's dangerous. I've been taken out a couple of times by it. It's a bit annoying. It's as well the fact that they can't brake that late, so on their own they're fine, but then when they see what you can do, they try and do it, and they just use you then as a as a boulder to hit you out of the way. So it's very annoying. They crash of their own accord, which is one thing I will say. It looks like they make their own mistakes, which is something I did want in the game. I don't want them to be perfect. Real riders crash. I like the way an AI can crash out of 3rd place on the last lap because he's touched the curb or made a mistake. Now, some crashes are a bit stupid, like an AI running wide and just refusing to pick the bike up. They don't have that kind of brain to them yet. Now, Milestone are really set in stone with these. They believe this is the way forward for AI, and it probably is. Milestone just haven't gotten it down yet. So hopefully, another couple of games, they might have actually a really good AI. They can be good to battle, but they're mainly kamikazes, over-aggressive, brake too early on straights, and have bugged simulation time. So when you're in a qualifying session and you fast forward, they'll go 3 seconds quicker than they can, and you can't compete because they're basically doing a slow motor 2 lap time. So it's just stupid. Lots of bugs. Once again, they need tweaking immediately because it's really affecting a lot of people's enjoyment of career mode. And the last but not least is online. Online, once again, like career mode, has not been changed. It is identical in every single way, except they took the race director mode out, which they'll have to bring back in a release. So again, they haven't got the game fully built before it's come out into stores and on Steam and stuff. So it's a bit interesting why they can't sort of explain to whoever is forcing them to putting it out at the end of April. They're putting it out an unfinished game. The fact that there's features from last year that can't get into the new game and they're being brought back by patches proves that they just don't have the time. It's not a... If they took it out of the game, you go, okay, fair enough, they don't want that feature, but they're bringing them back in a patch, which means we didn't have time to do this, we're going to have to do it at a later date. Which then begs the question, why was the game not waited upon? Give it another month, 6 weeks, 2 months if you need it, have everything a bit more polished, and then I might be sitting there going, oh well, this is overall a good game. There's a few small little things I wasn't happy that they didn't change career mode, but at least they had all the things they should have. No, unfortunately, there's a lot more wrong with this game than there's right with this game. So you're all waiting for my final review, my final rating, and I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 just, and wait to see why. If it wasn't for the 2009 season, I'd probably give it a 5.5. There is improvements to graphics, small things. There's improvement to the physics, again, minor. Too much of the game has been copied over from last year, not enough has been changed, so much so that a lot of GP21's issues have been brought forward to this year's game because it's pretty much a clone with a little bit of an upgrade. So right now, if you haven't bought it and you're on the fence, I'd wait for a sale or else buy it off a key site where you get it cheaper. Don't buy it for full price, it's not worth it. 7 out of 10 is generous, I'll be honest, it's generous. 6.5 is probably more accurate, but I'm going to give it a 7 just because the 7, Mark Neal himself deserves a 7 out of 10. He was fantastic in it. He does all the over voicing and the commentating and stuff. It's brilliant, and he's such a good director that I could sit there and watch the 2009 season all day long. So for that alone, I'd nearly buy the game, but everything I've gone through in this video, there is a lot wrong with this game, and I don't know how much of it will be patched and fixed. But yeah, I'm going to end it there. If you do have any questions about the game, feel free to drop a comment down below. Thank you all for tuning in and listening to me blabber on for way too long. I don't even know how long this recording is. I don't want to know because I'll probably be way over 20 minutes. But anyway, thank you all for tuning in. I hope you have a bit more of an idea about this game now that you've watched the review, and I shall catch you all in the not so distant future. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.